Yeah, we can go ahead.
Let me know.
What's up? Welcome back. Baseball's Dead, episode 7. DJ Hectic, DJ Mel, Jordan Jewels on the productions. Today we have our co-host Joe Catacadis back. Dugout Boys, Jovan Enriquez, and Teddy Mercado. Today we're going to talk dreams and nightmares. Here we go, Heck. So Joe, you how's your trip down to Florida this weekend?
Went well. Can't complain.
Yeah? Things wide open down there? How's the baseball? See any baseball down there?
It was all workouts from Miami all the way to West Palm Beach. Probably seen 3 or 4 different workouts.
Yeah.
Kids are seeing live pitching, which is pretty weird for January.
How's that help those guys along to the guys down here up north?
To calculate not having at bats versus at bats, I mean, it's the growth pattern. We're here, and they're just going to keep going with at bats.
Yeah, I mean, this is, and you and I have talked to multiple times about this stuff. How for me it was important to get that venture down in the Dominican Republic D, but get that thing off the ground to give our boys up here up north more opportunities to get live at bats and live reps on the mounds and just live game action. That's what we lack up here.
Oh, big time.
I think those tournaments are great. And we got a couple guys down there that are really shining right now. Like I said, those tournaments are great, but I think that all our guys need more at bats and more reps.
Oh, absolutely.
We got Jovan and Teddy with us today. We want to talk about Jovan. How do you think playing baseball here in the Northeast? And I know that you played up north, about 2-3 hours further up north in Vermont with College of St. Joe's, but you also had games down south.
Yeah. So, we were at a disadvantage at that point of the season. We'd go down to Florida, New Orleans. We always made that trip. It was always tough to face those guys because they're in mid-season form. By the time we get down there, they already seen the ball come out of the pitcher's hand 1,000 times.
Yeah.
They never really take an off season. They just keep going. So we were at a disadvantage at that point. But when you go down there, you know what you're going down there for. It's to get ready for when you come back up north and you have those reps. So that was the good thing about going down south to play some ball.
235radio.com. Teddy, how about you? What was your experience like? I know that you went ahead and you played at AIC, or you redshirted there. Then you went over to Bunker Hill, and then you ended up at College in St. Joseph's too, where they won a couple national titles. What was your experience like?
As far as just baseball wise?
Yeah, baseball wise, and just you being here.
Yeah.
You being here, being a kid from the Northeast, then going down there, down south, and watching those kids play and comparing yourself. Like, I coached you both early on in your careers when you guys were 15, 18 years old, and you guys both had some high-end talent as far as I was concerned. Compared to where you guys were back then, compared to those guys down south when you went down there and played down there.
Oh, yeah, we were at a huge disadvantage because they're seeing live from the day that they stop, because I'm sure that they don't even want an off season for the guys that are going to want to stick around. So those guys are probably seeing live ABs all year round. They don't even have to, where's the nearest indoor facility? They can just go to the nearest baseball field and spend the whole day there,
I mean, even with indoor facilities, big difference. Joe, 235radio.com. You scouted for the New York Yankees, right? So, that being said, how is that compared, doing your job, comparing scouting a kid in the Northeast to a kid down south?
It's difficult. I mean, the biggest challenge is having the kids up here see quality pitching. You know?
Yeah.
You might see some guys with some arm strength up here, but the pitchability and being able to repeat their deliveries and throw strikes, it's a different world. Therefore, you know, getting at bats versus not getting at bats. We're not looking for polished hitters up here. It's obvious,
Right.
you know. But we're looking at guys that got bat speed, got some intangibles, that type of thing. The difference of South versus here, it is two different worlds. A lot of raw talent up here. It is getting better, you know, year by year with at least the indoor training.
Right.
Just think about the times when there wasn't any indoor training. Oh, we lost a couple 10-year periods of student athletes that could have kept moving on and getting better,
Right.
but really didn't have that ability. But in fairness, you know, those 20 years, guys were playing three sports. You know, they'd go
true.
from the fall to their winter sport and then right into spring. The difference now is people are, you know, trying to single out one sport and work really hard to do that. It's a plus minus situation, really. But for every day that someone's not taking reps up here, someone else is,
Right.
you know, and you can't simulate live game competition. Indoors, it's just a total different world.
So that being said, we got two of our guys down there. I want to shout out Daniel Ortiz and Anthony Mateo. They're down there playing with Beast Mode, Joe. You know that. I mean, we've been following those games, right? How is it that those two can go down there and compete at a high level and be from up here?
Well, I noticed, you know, Daniel and Anthony are two individuals that work really hard at their craft. I don't think they miss many days of training.
No,
Yeah.
they don't. Then
And-
that's one of those things that I tell these guys. The proof is in the pudding, right? You guys know that as well as we do. When you guys were growing up, you guys worked your butts off. You know, with these guys, Joel, I always felt like, you know what, these guys were very talented, but there was a lot of talent in the city, and I knew that the only way we were going to keep up with that other talent was outworking them.
Yep.
You know, and we did that. So, you know, kudos to these guys that put in the work. You know, and I think going back to the guys down there in Florida right now, the likes of Anthony Mateo and Daniel, I think those guys are relentless and they're always working. You know, and I think, like you said, you know, you see it. What are your thoughts now? And I see this is like a growing trend. People now, it's no longer about just barreling the ball up. Now you see these guys, they want to break down their swings. I mean, everything's scientific now. You know, me myself, I wasn't a big believer in the analytics. You know, hit tracks, Rapsodo, TrackMan. You know, I wasn't a big believer. You know, we just invested in the Rapsodo at the dugout, and after you know, taking the course in it and really dealing with the thing, it's definitely a helpful tool.
Sure.
But at the same time, I think that a lot of these coaches are being very vague on the way they're teaching their hitters. You know, I think ultimately you want to hit it to barrel up. Get rid of the noise, bat on ball, A to B, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Get your hips through, and then understand the type of hitter you are. And as an individual, you should know what type of hitter you are.
Yeah, I mean, there's never a finished product. Let's put it that way. The game is all about making adjustments, but you have to be able to know what adjustments work for you versus somebody else. Your analytics might be different than mine, and different than Teddy's, and different than Javon's, but what works for you? And when you go around, you see players play, and you ask them, "What did you do in that count? The biggest thing for me is, what did you feel? You know, feel tells me everything. It tells me what you really understand about hitting and how are you going to change that the next time. So when you take a swing this way, how does it feel versus when you take it this way? So if you are able to get that feel in your base underneath you, and the base is the most important thing with hitting. You know, that lack of movement, getting your foot down and your hands in good hitting position to hit, you know, with a little separation. But looking at the analytics of the upswing and this swing and that swing, bottom line is when you get your barrel to the ball with your hitting position, and you hit the ball and you don't care where it goes, you're going to end up in a uniform for a long time. But it has to start when you're, you know, 12, 13, 14 to get that base underneath you to know that the power, the strength, the size is going to come. If you're trying to hit home runs when you're 14 out of a 300 Major League Diamond, 330, you know, it's not happening.
It makes no sense.
It's not happening.
But
But
it helping no one.
if you're the guy that puts the ball in play hard 7 out of 10 times, you're going to bat you 350. You're never going to come out of the lineup,
Right.
you know?
I tell you, I mean, even watching, getting back to Chico, right? Watching his at bats, it seems to me that he is really just bat on ball, making hard contact. He's approaching the game very different. Now there's a kid that has worked hard and prepared to get down to that tournament and perform, and the kid's got power. He's got power to hit the ball 350 feet, but I haven't seen that bat yet where he sat there and tried to swing out of his shoes to try to put the ball out of park. And that being said, he's hitting close to 800 in that tournament. He's tearing it up.
Yeah, again, you get back to Anthony and him, right?
Yep.
Anthony's a competitor. The strength and size are going to keep coming. But his competitive nature is second to none. He wants to kill you. You know what I mean? And you have to have that in baseball. It's a dog-eat-dog world.
I tell you, man, these two guys here, Jovan and Teddy, you know, I know that you really didn't watch them play growing up, Joel, but you talk competitors. These guys were competitors. I remember once, every time I talked about Jovan and his competitive spirit, and why I believe Jovan had the stuff to really play at the next level, and unfortunately he didn't get a shot, but I always felt that he had the stuff because it's the intangibles, you know, the stuff that you can't teach. You know, because you can be a coach and tell a kid, oh yeah, you know, you gotta have a chip on your shoulder, you gotta sack up, and you talk the kid up, and at the end of the day, the kid don't got it. The kid don't got it.
Right.
You know, but I remember there's one story with Jovan. This kid hit a foul ball. It was like he was down in the count, and then he threw a pitch, and the kid turned on it, hit it hard, but it was a foul ball. But the kid, I don't know if he went yard, but he smoked it. So Jovan got the ball back from the umpire. As he got the ball back, the kid spit towards the pitcher. I mean, towards the hitter, Lungy, and then he kicked dirt towards him. I mean, holy shit! You're a spectator and you're watching this. You're like, you know, sport. You know, that's showmanship.
Right.
No, he's like, okay, pal, and he struck him out the next pitch. No, the kid could have went yard on you, but.
Not today.
That's right. Not today. Do you remember that, Joel? I mean, Jovan?
I mean, that probably happened a million times, to be honest with you. But I just take it very personal. I felt like, you know, it was my turf, my just where I was meant to be. So anybody that tried to take that away from me, I really just got in my zone and I kind of almost saw red, you know. I was laser focused all the time, and just did what I had to do to let them know, you know, you're not gonna try to walk all over me.
How about Teddy? Teddy, let's talk a little bit about you. Teddy was the type of kid that we got in a lot of bench clearing brawls because of this kid.
East Boston. East Boston. I remember that one. The mom
Check.
came on the field.
I believe that.
Yeah, I mean, East Boston has some tough parents. Well, you know.
Yeah.
So, Teddy, tell us a little bit about that, about having a chip on your shoulder and why you think it might be important.
I mean, for me, I just want to be the best. Like, there's nobody on that field. It can even be my teammates, and I'm better than them because,
Hitting wise,
yeah, because you have to tell yourself that. Because if you tell yourself that you're not better than your teammate, then you're already losing when you step into the box.
right.
You know? So my mindset was I'm better than everybody, no matter what. Like, I had my tantrums when I made errors and all that, throwing gloves and all that, but as I grew, I realized that that was making me a better player. And growing up with Jovan as a teammate, like you said, we were playing with each other when we were 15, going through college, winning national championships together. I can tell that he grew as an individual, you know, and I would hope that he can see that from me as well, because
Definitely.
like I put forward a lot of effort in that in my game, because I remember one thing that you would say, emotions are for women.
Yeah, they are.
Yep.
I mean, I really believe that.
Yep.
Joe, I think we got away a little bit about the whole hitting aspect. What do you think now when you see that? And I know you and I we follow our buddy Jeff Fry.
Oh, he's
Right.
funny.
She going
Yeah.
right. 235 radio, but what do you think of this whole new wave of teaching hitters?
Well, I think analytics and video, it's imperative to use that in your training. Teams and video go hand in hand. You know what the incoming pitchers are. You know what size they are, where they where they throw, what their tendencies are, those types of things. That matters. But seeing whether or not your swing is up or down or in the middle, it doesn't matter unless you're making hard contact all the time. The guys that aren't making hard contact, you can't go to analytics and teach them to swing up. You know, they're in trouble. So what do you do when you're in trouble? You go back to T-ball days, right? What did my dad teach me? You know,
See
see the ball, hit the bat, and don't care where it goes.
Yep.
And what do you think a major leaguer does? They have to get back to basic fundamentals.
Right.
Once they put the ball in play, and all of a sudden it trickles through, and now all of a sudden their average starts to go up, and then just putting the ball back in play. But hitting isn't easy. Therefore, you see guys that can hit, they keep a uniform on. They're 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Now they're figuring it out. But some guys, don't get that chance to be 22, 23 and still have a uniform on. It's never too late if you have a uniform on. I'm talking from a mid-tier college, a low-tier college, independent league, summer collegiate league, whatever. But you have to get reps. You just can't walk into the spring and think that you're going to do damage if you don't have reps underneath you.
Yep.
Right. I think that and we see those kids all the time now having the facility, guys coming in and being 21, 22, 23, with still having that dream.
Yeah.
And still thinking they're gonna have a shot to go pro. And like you said, I'm a strong believer. If you have a uniform on, you still have a shot. So, I mean, I wish those guys the very best, man. I know that today we're going to talk a little bit about the dreams and nightmares of baseball. But I feel like what we also got to speak about it is the international draft that just happened.
That's crazy.
What's crazy is I don't know if you guys know this, but I know me and Joe, we had spoken a couple times about the situation. I know Major League Baseball this year in the United States, they had 5 rounds, correct?
That is correct.
5 rounds. That's every team got 5 picks.
Yep. A couple
Right.
teams only got 2 or 3 because they lost draft picks or whatever. But
Okay.
yeah.
So, but the international draft got about what?
20.
20. So, and they got paid. I mean, a lot of money was left on that island this past
It's a different
15th.
It's a different bonus structure. It has nothing to do with the American draft. You start seeing teams trade international money and not even international players.
Yeah.
So they can compile some money for that next year, and it's really bizarre. But when you see, like I just flashed forward to Baltimore's picks, they had 20 picks, 15 kids from the Dominican, like 4 from Venezuela or 1 from Mexico.
Wow.
And the hard thing for people in the United States to understand is that one kid that got 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, it got to go against the 23-year-old that's just coming out of college that's getting $200,000.
Yep.
That kid at 23 got to go out and perform at a high A level to match his age.
Right.
That kid that just got $2 million is 16 years old. He's got all the time in the world. You know, so again, but some of those guys never make it off the island,
Right.
you know?
But some of those guys, that's why you see these young superstars come up, like the Tatis and the
100%.
Guerreros and those guys.
If you're good, they're going to find you.
Right. I mean, it's
But I've also seen kids that weren't ready at 16 that were ready at 19, but they had no opportunity to get off the island. So that international student athlete that you're trying to help that got passed by when they were 16 years old, a lot of them quit baseball,
Yeah.
right? But some families that keep their kids involved, they want to keep them out of trouble, keep them on the path to keep playing baseball. They finish high school, and you know, been lucky enough to grab a bunch of those guys and send them into junior colleges around the country. They get 2 years of opportunity to continue playing, and they might be 21, 22 years old, but they never started in our system. So age is really not the value. The value now is coming to perform and taking advantage of those 2 years at a junior college. Hopefully they get their 2-year degree through an ESL program or actually learn English, and then move on to an NAIA or to another school or start their pro career. But age, get paid at 16, and then the rest of the kids get put aside. Like they don't even play anymore.
right.
But now, there's opportunities out there for international students to get over here. They just have to have the right avenue and the right people advocating for them. Because there's a lot of paperwork involved that people don't realize, and you have to have an administration in that typical school that is used to dealing with international students and has a program to deal with it.
Yep.
But I think it's that the college baseball is a big market, and I know that a lot of these coaches are big and are eager, especially if they can get a 90+ arm.
Oh, 100%.
You know, so I mean, I think they'll jump through hoops to try to score that kid. You know, we got that kid down there that's throwing 94, doing nothing.
Oh, there's lots of them.
22 years old, right? Right. I mean, that dime a dozen out there, and it's like, what a shame. Like this kid here doesn't have a shot to keep a uniform on
Yeah.
and keep playing, because if he did, he would probably be in a major league system somewhere.
Sure.
You can feel free to call us in at 617-334-5467. Baseball's Dead, 235radio.com. We're here with Joel Catechidis, Jovan Enriquez, and Teddy Mercado. So, guys, what's on your mind? How's your week?
I had a great week.
How's your teams? How your teams looking?
And my team's working hard day in and day out, you know. I love the effort they're putting forward right now. I think it's going to pay off come springtime.
Yeah, well, give me some highlights. Who you looking forward to seeing this upcoming spring on your team?
That's a good question. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, to be honest with you. But one player I'm really excited to see is honestly Reed Hanbury. I think he's gonna break out this year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
doing a
on.
lot of hard work, you know. And he's growing really fast in the past 3 weeks. So
How about you, Teddy?
We've been working real hard, putting our kids through pretty high-end drills, like hitting-wise, and they're excelling through them. And I can't wait for the season. It's gonna be great.
You turned that team around this year. You, John and Rich, man.
Yep.
I think you guys are doing a great job. Joel, so let's talk a little bit about the college experience and how a kid like like let's say Aquino. And you guys know Aquino, Javon, Teddy, right? I mean,
Kid's
the
nasty.
kid's a stud. He's a
His
freak.
little brother's nasty too.
Yeah, Sergio. Shout out to the Aquino family. There's a kid, high in talent. I think he might be 20 right now, right?
He's 19 still.
He might be he
he's
might be
young.
19 still. You're right. So you think about that kid, goes to a junior college, has a tough time with the grades, figures it out, and I hear whispers that there might be D1 offers knocking. Are
Yeah.
those true?
Yeah, no, he got offered by a few schools, but he just chose Dayton University.
Oh, he just
Nice.
chose Dayton.
Yeah.
Coach King.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, that's a big addition to that team and a big opportunity for Jose. You
Yeah.
know,
Hopefully, he gets drafted and makes the money that he needs to in order not to go to school. But if he doesn't, he'll make it the following year, putting up numbers at Dayton.
so now,
He's an unbelievable talent.
I mean, that kid's a freak.
Honestly,
But that's
I know
kinda,
talent when
again,
I see
that's-
that kid is unbelievable.
It's kind of what it looks like when you're out in pro ball. I mean, that's what it looks like.
Yep.
You know, but the difference is, the mentality, the understanding of how to deal with failure, and all those things, being away from home,
Yeah, heck.
that matters. I mean, it really comes down to that. You know.
Right. I think last week when we were speaking with Paul Campbell, one of the things that he said was, when he went to his post grad year, he went and away from home for the first time, and he really started figuring it out and became a young man at that point. And he said that played a big role in his development. A kid like Aquino isn't a good student, or wasn't. He turned it around. If, let's say, if they had a draft last year, a regular draft, there was a pretty good chance he gets drafted last year,
Oh, 100%.
right? But because his grades weren't good, he really didn't have D1 offers for an NCAA D1 offer on the table. But now, where he's committed to Dayton, I mean, a major league club has to recognize that, and it's going to reflect the numbers, the bottom line.
Yeah, it's of value, 100%. But he worked his tail off, and now to make himself a qualifier because he wasn't one coming out of high school, he got his associate's degree. Well, no matter what happens in that kid's life, he's got half of his bachelor's done,
Yep.
and no one could take that associate's degree from him.
It's important.
That's big. That's big. 235radio.com. Jovan, why don't you share some stories? Why don't you tell us about the story with Nick Powers? Nick Powers, man. Now-
What story? We got millions with that kid.
And-
You gotta narrow it down.
Another great talent out of the Northeast. Tell us a story how you guys were aiming for a championship, and all of a sudden he was getting the ball, and like he jumped somewhere and he got hurt, rolled an ankle, or got caught or something.
Yeah. At
Oh.
NEC.
Yeah, that was a bad hit. Yeah. I'll go towards the nightmares, I would say. Yeah, so we were in the championship. Nicky P was the horse, stud. He was shutting down every team he faced.
What'd you call him? FaceTime. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he was shutting down every team he faced. So we really needed him. It was a championship game against Castleton. NEC was known for not beating that team like at all, ever. So Nicky P ends up, we get to the hotel. He ends up going out of an exit door because, when you're in college, you got a bunch of roommates and we're all together. His roommates were in the bathroom, and so he needed to take a leak. So he left out the exit door, and he slipped and busted up his whole entire knee. So he couldn't play.
And that-
Wow.
I think that game was to move forward, and that year, that was the second year at
That was
NEC.
That was the only year I went. That was my first year.
Yeah, but that was his second.
That was his
That was
first year.
his first year. So his
Yeah.
second year is the one where they went on that run,
The regional.
that regional.
They changed.
But I think they were better that first year. Weren't they better that first year than their second year?
We didn't make it as far.
Yeah, but because they lost Nicky.
Yeah, in the
I think
championship.
I think I was at that regional maybe. Was it in Southern Maine?
Yeah, Southern Maine.
I was
Yeah.
looking at a center fielder for, I think, Southern Maine at the time.
Yeah, that was the second year. The first year is when he got hurt in Vermont.
Man, that kid there, Nick Powers, man. I hope he calls in, but he's one of those kids. Did you ever scout that kid growing up in high school?
You know what? I ran into the Powers family, pretty athletic, right? So
Yeah.
he had another younger brother that was
Older brother.
Older.
that was
Manny.
fringy, like almost a prospect.
Yeah.
You know, someone that you could follow to see if things progressed. I didn't get to meet Nick, other than the fact that I probably seen him at a couple games when they played Southern Maine at Flaherty School.
I tell you, man, and I'm biased.
Let me say hi to my kids. Kayla, hello. Mama too.
Caleb, what's up? Yeah, I want to say what's up to Caleb. Caleb had a good week this week.
Keep working hard, Caleb.
At the dugout.
Oh,
He's a
yeah.
good kid. No, I appreciate both of you guys because like when you talk about quiet demeanor and you have some FU to you, you have some FU to you from what he tells me. But when you're working with kids, I watch whenever I go into a facility, I watch the coaches and see how they interact. But your calm demeanor really says a lot about both of you. You know, it's really positive for me to see because I know underneath that you want to drop some F-bombs and you don't. You know, and
Yeah.
why can't you do this? Or how come? Why are you do it? I don't see that, and that's why I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate that,
Because
Joe.
you know, in coaching and in life, you might have to teach a kid or say it 15 times until they get it. But it's rewarding if you take that time and go to that 15th, 16th time because that kid's really going to appreciate you and give you 10 times more back.
It's true. That's why I do it.
Yep.
I tell you, man, it's it's a battle,
Yeah.
and I really, I hope these guys continue to understand how important it is to be great role models. I know that I've had conversations with some of my guys when I've seen some of the IG posts and stuff. You know, whether maybe they're having a drink, and again, these guys are mid-20s. This kid's gonna be 26 years old this month. You know, so can he have a drink? Of course he can. He's old enough to have a drink. He's a grown up. Teddy also, right? But, they gotta start moving like role models. They gotta understand, they got 12-year-old kids, 13-year-old kids looking up to them for whatever.
9-year-old
9-year-olds.
that can't wait to come back that next time.
Right. And then all of a sudden you never know. Like what if they see you in a vulnerable state and they think, wow, like this guy's the coolest guy on the planet. Maybe it's because he drinks, or maybe because he
Right.
smokes hookah, or whatever it is. Whatever
Right.
bad habit
Yeah.
you might be putting out there that you got to just make sure that once you become a coach, you do have a certain responsibility you got to continue to have.
Yeah, it's important.
Definitely.
I already touched on that on the social media stuff. I got a call this week about one of our guys that plays out of the dugout, that's been on our national team, and one of the coaches down south says to me, he goes, "Hey, I don't really want to butt in, but at the same time, I just want to let you know, like, your guys shouldn't really be posting negative stuff on social media. Colleges look at it and stuff." I mean, the guy's absolutely right. He's a good friend.
Yep.
He was just giving me a heads up. And here's the picture of the kid. Two middle fingers up. F you. Maybe he's having a bad day, whatever it is. But it's like, pal, like, what are you thinking? Like, why is it that these young folks don't? Not just young folks. I mean, you see grown-ups
Yeah.
posting selfies of themselves while they're raiding the Capitol building. Like, oh, look at me,
Right,
I'm at the
right.
Capitol.
Right. It's definitely trying times, man.
It's
But
like, what the hell's wrong with these people?
and everybody's on full blast. and there's a lot of people that are teetering on the edge right now. The bottom line is, we could talk about social media for
Ever.
3 weeks in a row, an hour a whack, but at that age, I tell them to shut it all down. You don't need it. What do you need it for?
But that now, like now with social media, like even like Jordan has a baseball account, like, or maybe you just have something like that, you know.
But that
if you're-
might be different
if you're
than-
promoting
Yeah.
just your craft.
You just said it. He's got a baseball account. But if you got Instagram and Facebook, you're leading yourself out there for ridicule, for people that are jealous, for
Right.
people that don't want to see you succeed.
Right.
And you can make a mistake as a young guy very
Yeah.
easily. I made $1 million.
Yep.
I didn't have social media to get caught up.
Right.
But you can get caught up just by doing piss somebody off. Like I said, people are on edge right now across our country, and what you might think is cool, someone else might want to not take you out from it. You know, it's like, you know, you're driving down the street and someone gives you the middle finger. You get to my age, you just keep driving. Back in the day, I want to pull him off the road, but you can't do it no more.
Yeah.
You just got to keep moving forward, you know, and think about your family. And nothing is worth losing your life or losing your reputation or losing your career, especially young guys that don't have that to begin with. They're just starting out,
They're just
and they
starting
are
out.
going to make mistakes. So you try to eliminate some of the mistakes by saying you don't need social media right now. If you want direct access to somebody, pick up the phone and talk to them. That's the missing part. What's going on? Everyone is really tough behind a screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they can typing warriors. Is that what they call them now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, pick up the phone, go knock on a door, talk to somebody, be face to face. Those times are long gone. But they
Right.
got to
Sad.
come back.
Yep.
They got to come back. Just like, you know, we got to get rid of the upswing and come back to making contact. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, you got an update on the score?
I turned it off a couple of minutes ago.
Oh man, I hope Beast Mode.
You know what? It's all about the experience for them. And those two kids are mentally prepared to go down there. Never mind physically because they're in there all the time.
Right.
But mentally, I know Anthony has turned it around in the classroom.
Yeah, man, and that's big.
Huge. Daniel, coachable. Had to eliminate all those moving parts. With the high leg kick, he's slamming on the ground, his head shaking, the ball's doing this. He don't understand that because he's too young.
Yep.
We take away that leg kick, you slow things down, and then someone sent me a video from Florida of his at bat. No movement in his head, and he just gets the bat, the ball, and hits it over the center fielder's head. So he's taking the coaching. Anthony takes the coaching. A lot of guys that are coachable and end up being good students. You know, life starts to turn in their favor instead of spinning their wheels. Like, you know, that fly that flies into the bottle. It's gonna spin and spin and spin until it dies. It knows it does know the way it came in, just to come up and go on. But in life, a lot of people become that fly and they keep spinning until they die. They don't get out of the bottle. You know, don't be that fly.
Yep.
You know.
You know, I think a lot to do with these guys' success too is like parents, of course. You know, and it's kind of weird because like Chico's parents, they show up to his games and support him there. But Chico's parents, his dad's on the island, his mom is here, but it's not like they're at every workout with him, and you know they encourage him to work out, and they're like Chico's kind of doing his thing.
Yeah.
You know, he shows up, he does what he's asked, and he's just learning, getting stronger, and doing his thing. But on the other side, you'll have a kid like Anthony, where his old man makes sure that he's there, and he's always on him, and always encouraging him to do more and do better. And it's amazing how two sides of the spectrums, but yet they're both performing at a very high level, and they're having great young careers right now.
Yeah, well, it all stems back to them looking at each other. It's like looking in the mirror. I want to one-up you. You want to one-up me. You're doing better in school. I want to do better in school. You're making more contact. I want to make more contact. You throw harder. I want to throw harder.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Surround yourself with those like-minded people, right?
yeah, people that want to thrive and not settle. You know, but you give them the opportunity to do that. You know, it's hard to find places that want you to really succeed, other than just trying to take your money.
Yeah.
You know, That's kind of the reason why I still love coming to the dugout from the first time I met you, was I seen an ad or something online that said Lynn, Mass. I'm like, who's running something in Lynn that I don't know? I went down there and introduced myself, and almost 2 years later, I call him a friend.
Yep.
Right.
And a friend in baseball is hard to find. And
It's
the
true.
baseball world is very small.
I tell you, you know, you guys are young, and like Joel says, Joel is a friend of mine, and we have lengthy conversations. And when he says that a friend of baseball is hard to find, that's a very true statement. Another thing that's very true is when he says that baseball is a very small world. When I was down in Dominican Republic last time, I think I told you guys the whole experience with Prospect Dugout. I'm sitting there talking to the guys like, oh yeah, I already follow you, and it's like, holy smokes, like how this just happened, you know. A couple of weeks ago, we had a kid from kid Julian came in. I think he lives in East Boston right now. He comes in from Colombia. Yeah, and we talking. The kid's like, yeah, I've been out here for a year now. I have a brother. You know, because of COVID, I've gained some weight, but I'm a pretty good ball player. Like, yeah, he's like, yeah. And so, okay. He actually just sent me a message. He's coming back next week. But what's crazy is later on, a guy from Colombia, one of the guys that runs a big academy down in Colombia, reaches out to me and, on Instagram just to say hi. You know, hey, hi, you know, you speak Spanish? And we started having dialogue, and we spoke, and you know, I called him. We've had a couple FaceTime conversations. I say to the guy, I say, hey, you know, I got a kid that just showed up. His name's Julian. And he's a ball player from Colombia. You know, from Medellin? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, and he's telling me exactly the kid Julian played with this guy that I met from Colombia. I'm talking about
Two different.
Yep.
6,000 miles away. And here's this kid just walks into our door, and now he's been 6,000 miles away. That's how small.
Yeah, and you met
insane.
someone in the Dominican that I ran into before,
Right.
which is really a small world.
I mean, it's when he says it's a small world, it's a small world. There was the Giants guy that same day with Prospect Dugout. Those guys over there. It's like, yeah, it's a small world. So you know, you got to be mindful. What do you say? Keep people close.
Right. 100%.
know,
You don't
just-
have to give them your whole life, but you treat people how you want to be treated. And that's what's missing in America, never mind world baseball. You treat everyone how you want to be treated, and you're going to live a pretty solid life. I mean, the other thing my dad told me when I was young is, if you can count on your hand, 5 fingers, of 5 guys you trust with your life, you're a lucky man. Now, if you right now go, okay, uncle, it all comes back to family, because you know your butt buddies from high school and college, those aren't guys you could trust with your life. It really comes down to your family and who you surround yourself with that you actually do really trust with your life. So think about it. 5 guys with one hand. And not a lot of guys that can say that, truthfully, that they trust with their lives.
Right.
You know, so again, when I just say that statement, but I'm here on social media sending out this, that, the other, I'm exposing myself because those 5 guys, I don't have them. Who's going to protect me? Who's going to save me? Who's going to keep me out of trouble? You know, so what you do really matters, and it follows you.
Well, life's lessons on baseball's dead, guys. You're welcome.
I mean,
235radio.com.
oh, sorry.
What was that?
Yeah, I was going to bring up something when you talk about an accident with your better player. You know, being in baseball for a long time and being around it and being around from young guys to pros or whatever, there have been so many stories of certain kids that get in trouble. And then there are other aspects where people have accidents. You know, so you got to really, you know, take life slowly and live it the best you can, because there's not always tomorrow.
Right.
You know, and you have to respect the people around you. You don't have to, again, give yourself to them, but you have to lead with respect in order to get respect.
Yeah.
And the handshakes, back in the day, they mattered. Nowadays, they don't seem to matter.
Crazy.
Or not. I mean, nowadays is a fist pump. No more handshakes.
Well, I only say that because it leads back into baseball, right? College coach says, I want you, you're a freshman in high school, I want you to commit to my school. Well, what is he really doing? He's really seeing how you're developing over those next 3 years, because if you're not, your money's gone, he's going to give it to the next guy that did develop.
Yep.
So he just stopped you from talking to all these other schools. Is he the guy you trust on your hand? No. But he might have pretty uniform, speed, big D1, and all this stuff. It don't matter.
You got played. I tell you, you know, I'm glad you touched on it, because I remember when these guys were coming up. I mean, committing to a school was
No
a
such
big.
thing.
It was a big no-no. Like,
Right.
don't commit. What are you doing? Then all of a sudden, you know, you put in a halt to the whole recruitment process. You know, and now these guys are like, oh, I got an offer. No, I'm committing. Like,
Right.
whoa. You know, it's amazing how things happen. I think it's one of those things how popularity contest.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, here comes a big freshman coming into the high school. He's committed. You know, like
Yeah.
hasn't even proved anything yet.
I hadn't even taken a ground ball
Yeah. It's like,
and a varsity uniform, you know?
you talked about how in the Dominican Republic they draft at the age of 16, and they don't know, you know, now the 16-year-old got to compete with these older guys, and you know they don't even know how this kid's gonna really turn out. Those 16-year-olds, I mean, they're getting dealt at the age of 13 and 14.
Oh, very easily.
I mean, these scouts have to. They'll come on. I like that kid. Listen, let's negotiate something with that kid. You know, here's a handshake, and those handshakes, those aren't in stone. So if you shake a guy's hand, say, hey, you can have little Pedro for 1.5 million, and he's 13 years old. That's your boy. So if Pedro ends up being a stud, and you think you can get 4 million for him, but you just shook his hand for 1.5, you're getting 1.5, and vice versa. If little Pedro doesn't grow much, and he turns out to be
A dud.
a dud,
You gotta still pay that 1.5.
yeah, then it's 1.5.
Yeah.
But that's tough, man. That's got to be tough to do to really recruit that young, and really the projection, like, say to yourself, wow, this kid looks. I mean, what do you look at?
Wow, it's impossible. It's really impossible. All you can do is watch them develop, you know, from 13 to 14 to 15, and see how they compete against guys that are better than them.
Yeah, I tell you, man, it's like you said, impossible, but it's happening. I mean, it's happening. It's the way business is done over there, and to me, you know, I'm learning that process now, and it's intriguing to me the way things are done, because it really doesn't make any sense to me. It's like the system. It's no surprise why they're having such a tough time with the system down there. It's like how you gonna expect a guy to look at a 13-year-old kid, and I mean, a 13-year-old kid, he hasn't even gone through puberty yet.
Right.
You know, you have to really sit there and look at the parents. Okay, look, the dad's 6 foot tall. The mom's look like she's big boned, the big woman. You know, like maybe this kid's gonna be 6'2", 6'4". You know, maybe. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's the best you can do.
Right.
And hopefully you know the trainer, you know you believe in his methods, you know. But other than that, man, to commit that type of money to a kid,
It's insane.
It's happening. Well, it's commodities, right? It's commodity trading, right? The teams are trying to buy low.
right?
They're trying to sell high. But, you know, you flip that script when you're in the United States and you use that system in your favor. You use it to get the best education you can do. You know, when your son or daughter are getting to the point where they're at a scholarship level type of player, you don't want to go to a small junior college. You want the best educational school that you can do. So you could take advantage of that system just as well. I will say the international system is scary. You know, I've been there, been involved in it. And the handshake stuff, you could lose your life over there
Yeah.
if you don't pay attention and you keep giving false promises. I know that to be a fact. You know, it's dangerous business. You know, buying and selling, 15-year-old players is scary.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and the downside of that is the kid's not getting his full value even when he does sign for $1 million. You know, they're taking 50%, and out of that 50%, they're giving 5% to you, 5% to you, and then some guys that train kids will have 4 in there. One kid gets the big money, and the next 3 kids get signed, get that opportunity, but don't get that type of money. You know, they got one team gets $1 million to spend. They'll spend 950 grand on one player in 2020. They're getting 4 for 1, really.
Yeah.
Right.
And it hasn't changed. They did try to send some people over there to create the system to make it more Americanized, and they're not having it.
Yeah.
That's a third world country, man.
Not only that, I mean, they're not having it, and they're not having it.
Correct.
If you go down there and try to screw that system out, I mean, bodies might turn up.
There's no question. I know particulars that there people from the office, Major League Baseball, were over there for 2 or 3 years trying to straighten it out.
Wow.
They don't. When people don't want change, it's not going to happen because it comes in, more people that don't want change. It ain't happening.
Well, Joe, you gotta also figure that there's a lot of people eating, right?
Yeah.
Eat the economic food chain,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, yeah, Major League Baseball might sit there and give a kid 1.5 million, right? He might only get half of that. The academy gets the other half, but then all of a sudden the academy has to get the little league trainer involved, which in turn the little league trainer, he's feeding half the town. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people eating.
Yeah. It can come from the grocery shopper to the person that cooks the meals to the person that trains to the person that's doing any type of schoolwork with them. So yeah, I mean it does. It takes a village to build, and they don't want change, and that's their system that works for them. But in fairness, if it was my son and he had the ability to make $1 million, I'd want him to get the $1 million. But if I only know what I know because I know, over there they might not have the ability to understand and know the ins and outs, and the tax system is totally different.
Right now, so before you wrap up, guys, we're gonna go back. I want you guys to start thinking about what your worst experience was, your worst nightmare on the diamond was.
I'll get
But,
I got it.
all right, we can get into that.
Worst
But
nightmare.
what I really want to know, Joe, is if you had the opportunity to for your son to sign for $1 million, would you tell him take the shot and leave school behind?
It would all depend on his makeup and his ability at the time. $1 million. The difference here in America is they'll put aside 4 years of school for you. So if you get $1 million, it might end up being, 50 grand a year to go to regular school now?
Yeah.
4 years. So really they're putting, 1.2. They're giving you 1.2. So it's negotiated before you even say, yeah, I want to go out and play, draft me.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole other issue. A lot of kids want their names called and don't want to go out and play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why a lot of these deals are made even before the draft even happens nowadays. Because they're not going to waste their pick if they know that they can't sign you. So when it comes time for draft day, they know, just like you just said in the international draft, they know a year ahead of time, I'm giving this kid 1.5. You get what I'm saying? He's going to get the 1.5,
Yeah.
So the deals are made before it even happens. it's not like someone's going to come out of the woodwork and give someone extra money because it's, you know, you would think that it's not on the up and up anyway.
Right, those deals are already done.
Yeah,
'Cause it's-
100%. If you're sitting there waiting for your name to get called on draft day and you're a college player,
It's not getting called.
it's not getting called. It's just not. You know, you didn't have the right advocate behind you to push for you and get something done before it comes and goes.
Right.
I know lots of kids like that. They think
Yeah,
they've
it's a-
done enough, and their enough is not enough.
It's a shame, man.
Yeah, no, it is a shame.
You know, again, for me, it's just one of those things. You know, growing process. You know, because teaching, doing baseball for this amount of years, I always felt like we had some kids that were talented enough, and I'd sit there in front of the TV, and I'm like, damn, this kid's name never got called, and I thought this kid's name was gonna get called. Like,
Well,
it's a sucky situation.
we talked about that with the boy you guys were mentioning earlier, Nicky.
Yeah.
And there was some I's needed to be dotted and T's crossed. And when you've never been through that system before, and you don't follow up as a player when you're getting, information sent to you, they're gonna pass you by because it looks like maybe he's not mature enough to go out and play if he can't return an email or return a phone call or fill out this questionnaire. The guy that's sending you the questionnaire got 3 bosses to go answer to.
Yeah.
Never mind, I'm gonna wait for you to send me something back. It's not happening,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, it sucks, but at the same time, it's like I guess he has to be the sacrificial lamb. I guess hate to put it that way, but I won't let that happen again to one of my guys.
Correct, and it's not just him but that situation is not uncommon.
Right.
It's not uncommon.
No, I know, but I mean, I wish if I had known about that situation, like, hey, listen, there's been situations where this and that has happened, I would have made sure that the kid was on top of that paperwork and made sure that the kid turned it in and did what
Right.
the hell he had to do.
But you're not a guy that makes second mistakes.
Right.
You're,
Well, I
you're
try
a guy,
not- I try
You're
not
a
to.
guy that knows what he knows and really can promote that. But you're not afraid to go read a book to figure out what am I doing wrong, what am I missing.
That's right. That I'm not afraid to do.
Not a lot of guys like you, pal.
No. Well, thank you.
You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna I got a video on Chico's last at bat down there. Well, not his latest at bat. Runners on first and second. Look at this video's upside down now. Unbelievable.
It must be
don't-
Armando. He's upside down.
There he goes. He's running the second like Spider-Man. He can hear his mom losing her mind in the background. But we talk dreams and nightmares. Here's a kid, Daniel Ortiz, doing his thing down there in Florida and helping that beast mode team try to win that game. I really want to get into some nightmares on the baseball field. I think before we wrap up, I'd like to hear a story from every one of you guys.
You guys can go first.
Go ahead, Teddy.
It was my freshman year of college at American International College. We were playing it was like a simulated game, kind of, and I was at short for my team, and I was booting balls left and right. Had the kids, like some of the upperclassmen and some of the other freshmen, just heard them chirping,
On your own team?
Yep. And
That sucks.
That's going to be a long year.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So with me at that time in my development in maturing, I wasn't where I wanted to be. I was kind of in the process. So after that, I called my dad, walked from the field to my dorm room. I remember I broke down, because that was my shot, and I completely blew it, and I didn't know if I was going to get another one, and And even that year, at the end of that year, we had like end of the year meetings, and the coach told me, "Have you ever played first base?" And I looked at him and I said no, and he said, "Well, you might want to look at it." And I instantly just forgot about that school the next year, because that wasn't what I wanted to do, and I worked hard. That was the off season that I lost that that crazy weight, 50 pounds in what, like 6 months or something like that, because I would have Jovan, Nikki P, and Heck just always on me, fatty.
Yeah,
But hey, you know,
It's all out of
it
love,
was
though.
it was all love. It was all love. You know, I look at it now, and I probably wouldn't be here today. You know, I probably wouldn't have gone to play college ball, do all the things that I did now, because who knows, I would probably be an overweight kid just sitting down watching TV all day.
Yeah.
Depressed.
Yeah.
eating donuts.
At your old high school, drinking a 40-ounce
Yeah. Exactly.
in a paper bag. You know how that works.
Yeah, I mean, I
There's
tell
plenty
you,
of them.
it's
Yep.
that's why it's important to have good guys around you too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like man, I think for us that's a big difference between us and a lot of organizations, is that really even at our younger levels, like these guys really create bonds and friendships, lasting ones. You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
help each other out, which is great.
I
man.
watched them all interact. You know, from the 9-year-old to the 18-year-old, and they're all treating each other with respect.
Mm-hmm.
it's
It's
about.
gonna turn one of their lives around,
Yeah.
maybe both.
That's great. Jovan, what do you got, Jovan? Give me one of your nightmare stories.
I got one that's like mind blowing.
All right, but don't take
Right,
an half
right,
hour,
right,
kid.
right.
Give me
I'll try not to take too long with this one.
give us the edited version.
All right, so we take a trip down. So I'm at College of St. Joseph, right? This is
Oh, I
my
know what he's
this is my
talking
third
about.
year. Teddy was there for this too. This is my third year. Man, I'm one of the top dogs. I was getting like 50, anywhere from like 52 to 56 innings a year, right? So my third year, you know, I'm feeling good. I worked my tail off all off season. You know, I felt great. Probably sitting 87 at that time, 87, 88. I was always known as the guy with the rubber arm, you know, so, and coach loved to put me in any situation. I could start, I could relieve, I could close, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. I just love to be on the mound. So we get down to Florida. It's the top NAIA team. They're ranked number 1 in the country. It was Kaiser. I'm sitting there watching. I'm taking notes for this lineup that I'm supposed to face. The coach tells me, listen, Jovan, you got to start on Thursday. It's Monday. And you got to pitch against these guys. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm sitting there taking notes. I mean, this team was stacked.
Good for you.
Right. So move on. Next day, we got a game against Ave Maria in Florida. They were a pretty good team. They were, like, not that great, but they were a good team. Nelson, what's Nelson's last name? You remember? I think it's Barrero, something like that.
Something with a B. Yeah.
Yep. So he pitches an unbelievable game. 8 innings, shutout. He's at 135 pitches. Okay. Not one person in the bullpen is getting loose. We're all like, we got this game in the bag. We're winning 6-0. So everybody's counting. We win this game, easy. This little kid rides up to me on a bike. He's like, hey, if you let us win the game, I'll give you this card. It was just like a hotel card. It was just it was just a little kid just busting my chops. I'm like, I'm not pitching today, so there's no way you guys are going to win. And he's like, oh, well, okay. Drives away on his bike. All of a sudden, Nelson just starts getting shelled. Like, rips to center, rips to left center. All the gaps, just doubles. All of a sudden, it's 6-4 with a man on first base. Coach is like, Jovan, get loose. Meanwhile, I'm in my head thinking I'm starting the next day against the number 1 team in the country. I'm like, oh, man, I got to get ready. So I had my sandals on.
Oh no!
I had my sandals on. I went.
Hey, hold on. Joe, give me that repeat, Joe. Give it again.
Oh no!
So
I would cut your ass on the spot.
I get my cleats on. I start chucking the ball as hard as I can, right? I'm throwing it as hard as I can. I warm up in probably 9 pitches, 8 pitches. I get loose. Coach gets me right in the game. All right, boom, I get on the mound. I'm throwing it as hard as I can. Think I'm just gonna blow it past kids. I walk the first guy. Next guy, people from home were saying that they were listening in. They're like, when I came in off the thing, they're like, oh, one of the top relievers is coming in. He should get the job done. I walk the first batter. Next batter, I throw a high fastball. The announcer's like, oh, hopefully he doesn't do that. Jimmy's been crushing the ball lately. Hopefully he doesn't leave another fastball up to him. Throw another fastball. This kid cracks the ball out of the park. Walk-off home run. And when he hit the ball, the entire stadium just got up. I was like, oh, my God. I couldn't believe it. I just, the game was over. To icing on the cake, little kid rides up to me on the bike. He gives me the card. He said, thanks. I was like, oh, man.
That's funny.
Oh man, you never told me that part.
Yep. And you know what? That was the only loss I had that season.
Wow.
After that, went hard, and I didn't lose another game.
Oh man, what a great story.
That is funny, man. No, but once the walk happened, I'm thinking 6'4". All right, walks a run at 6'5". Now what's going to happen? You know what I mean?
Hit a dinger.
Yeah, why not? Knock them all in. And here's your card. Go back to Boston.
Yep.
What do you got, Joe? What do you got?
I'm gonna go from laughing to sadness, really. But it's a real, true, heartwarming story that turned a little bit real bad sour.
Yeah.
I had a boy that was from Vermont, and he was playing at a D2 school up here in at Franklin Pierce at the time, and kind of really was different off the field. He was tough to keep in line from the rest of the guys. So he had some isms that were a little bit different than others, and had a hard time with the schoolwork, that type of thing. But in fairness, his coach was like, this is my best arm I've got here, but you know what? He's not going to be able to play here. Can you help him out? And I'm like, yeah, I can get him to a different school. Do you want him back after that 1 year? And he's like, yeah, no, I do, but right now he's not going to be eligible. Can you help him? So I sent him to San Jacinto in Texas, which is the best JUCO in the country, because I know that they can take that type of player that has those isms, because they've seen him before, and get him to be a pro. Long story short, he gets there in the fall. He's their best arm. And to be their best arm, you got to be a guy, a dude, So he's sitting 94, 96. They play against Chipola and the best teams in the country in the fall in the tournament. And he's able to throw 93 to 97, throw a changeup, full counts. Just had pitching ability, 6'5", 240-pound kid. Not fat, country strong, Vermont kid.
Okay.
They have their break. He doesn't come home. I'm away. I'm doing something in California. I get a call from the college coach. I missed 3 of his calls. Finally called him back. He said, oh, there's been a bad accident, blah, 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 blah. I go, well, what happened? Well, Buddy didn't come home for the break in between, winter and spring. He was fishing with his buddies on the team. So he made friends, and they were fishing, and he was the highest rated guy. He probably would have went in the first 2 or 3 rounds. He's fishing in a little canoe, dives off the canoe and breaks his neck.
Oh, my God.
Well, the story was he dropped his glasses in, dove in there. But why I'm bringing this up is because you make choices. You got to treat people with respect. You got to love life, live it to its fullest. But you have to be careful when you have, all these goals and dreams and aspirations, not to do something that's out of the norm. The sad thing is he did break his neck and never could pitch again. But he was so highly sought after just from that fall that it turns bad into a neat story. The Houston Astros drafted him in the 40th round.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And let's see.
Wow.
They brought his shirt to the hospital. Now, mind you, he's a quadriplegic, can't move. They drafted him that spring and June, and Roger Clemens, and Andy Pettit bought him a van, a handicap van. They fixed his whole condo for him. Basically paid it off. And so you really gotta be really careful, but live life to its fullest and know that, you know, you don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. You know, the cool thing is that the people really looked out after that fact, because he was just a kid from Vermont that ended up in Houston. You know what I mean? So, world apart from his family, the whole 9 yards. But to know that Houston community came together for the kid, knowing that he'd never pitch again.
How's he doing today?
He never left there.
So he's still in
the
Texas?
Houston area. Yep. Yep.
Wow. Well, how about you guys? You guys have nightmare stories? DJ Heck, Jordan Jewels. Any nightmare baseball stories before we wrap up today?
Yeah.
We good?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got one? No, all right. Hey, baseball's dead. Hey, episode 7. Thank everyone for joining us. Joe Catacadis, Jovan Enriquez, and Teddy Mercado. We out. Till next week.
Peace. That was a good one.